The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Dubby's products are made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom-made by Dubby, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. Dubby's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. Dubby Energy, be better. What's going on, everybody? I want to tell you about my new friends over at Cleverman. Visit them online at becleverman.com. What they gave me was the energizing face and beard scrub along with the Cleverman face scrubber. And trust me when I say this, the energizing face and beard scrub smells amazing. Combining it with the face scrubber, making sure that your boy was looking as good and sexy as possible, opened up a whole different sensation in my face that I haven't ever felt before. I felt so clean, so fresh, and so clean, like Outcast said, and it helped me feel like I was ready for my day. Make sure you visit them online at becleverman.com and follow them on Instagram at clevermannyc. The link is up in my bio if you want to check out all the amazing products they have. Visit them online, becleverman.com. This is Mike Tipton from Tipton Sports Broadcasting, inviting you to join us on Tuesday, June 10th at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive on the west side of El Paso for all-you-can-eat wings. As a big fat guy, you know I'm going to be stuffing my face, so why not join me and Brandon the Iceman Cone for all-you-can-eat wings? Be sure to tune in to Fire and Ice every Saturday as we talk sports or anything else that might come to mind. At B-Dubs, enjoy the $4 house beer Wild Herd, $5 Bud Lights, and $6 Voodoo Rangers. And take advantage of their $4 Fireball shots.
Fireball.
Happy hour is Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Be sure to try the delicious new sandwiches like the beer cheese cheesesteak and chicken parm melt. Plus, all-you-can-eat wings Monday through Thursday until June 26th. $24.99 for bone-in wings, $19.99 for boneless wings, and the fries are included. All you can eat bone-in and boneless wings Monday through Thursday, and Fire and Ice every Saturday at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, hanging out with you here. Let me adjust my camera. There we go. Got to make it look a little nicer here. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, hanging out with you here on a Tuesday morning. Yes, I know it's a little earlier than what we normally do, but that's because I have a high school graduation for my biological niece that I need to go to. So congratulations to her, to Nayeli, and of course, congratulations to all of the graduates that have been underway. I went to El Dorado's graduation. Obviously, you know me as a former teacher at El Dorado. I had to go out there and show a little bit of love to my former students. Now, this time, I have a family member, my first biological family member, that'll be graduating high school. That'll be at 9 o'clock today. Really tough to do that whenever you have a show that ends at 9 o'clock. So I'm trying to do a show before I have to go do other things, and it's just going to be an interesting way of doing the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton today. But nonetheless, I'm surprised that we have anybody viewing right now. We are live currently on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. Later on today, we will be replaying this show on Roku with National Streaming Sports and the National Streaming Sports app. Check out everything they have to offer. As a matter of fact, going on right now, we have TGI Sports. Actually, no, the Mac and Jack show right now with Sonia Pearson going on right now. Then after that, there's going to be the TGI Sports with Keith Angle. A little bit later on, Coast to Coast with my guy, Bo Crouch. And then, of course, my dude, B. Strilla, having his show, One Ass Cheek, Three Toes. Then you can check him out on Thursdays with the No BS show. That's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time here in El Paso. I'm going to need you all to help me out with the show because I didn't get to do enough research. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the NHL playoff that we saw yesterday, the NHL Stanley Cup final game. That was an absolute drubbing. And then we're going to be breaking down the NFC North. So let's go ahead and get into it. I love the Stanley Cup final. I've always been a huge fan of the Stanley Cup final, not necessarily all of hockey, but the Stanley Cup final. And then, of course, as you get on with hockey, with everything that's going on, I become a little bit more of a fan. And even in yesterday's ass whooping, 6-1, the Florida Panthers beat the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton supposed to be on this mission of making up for last year, right? This is a rematch of last year's Stanley Cup final. Edmonton is supposed to be coming in here with the mindset of, we lost last year, we don't want to know that feeling again. Let's go ahead and get this championship. Let's do everything we can to get this championship. And Florida, if you've been watching hockey all season, is a team that likes to muddy things up. They like to make things a little dirty. They, especially in the third period, they love to just stranglehold you. They start getting physical, moving the puck into the corners, body checking, forechecking, doing all kinds of stuff. That's what the Florida Panthers do. Bistro saying Marchand was a huge pickup, an awesome pickup by the Florida Panthers. That was enormous. They were already great. And then they add Brad Marchand. I want to say like he's not even like a first liner guy for them. But that fourth line that they have, like if you haven't been watching hockey, if you haven't been watching the Stanley Cup playoff, you're doing yourself a disservice. One, it's the most fun you're going to get in a 7-game series. I don't care about basketball. I don't care about baseball. I don't care about any of that nonsense. The most fun you're going to get is going to be the Stanley Cup playoff, Stanley Cup final in a 7-game series. No matter if it's a sweep, no matter if it's a 5-game series or a 7-game series, 90% of the games are going to be extremely competitive, or they're going to be like they were yesterday, where it's a 6-1 ass whooping, but one team in Edmonton has 85 minutes of penalty time. 85 minutes of penalty time. Because, yeah, you can come in here and kick our ass. We'll go into your barn and you'll kick our ass. But you're going to remember our name. That's what I love. That's what I always tell people whenever they ask me about like being younger and a kid, like, did you ever get in fights and stuff like that? And my answer was always no. It wasn't because I didn't want to get in a fight. It's because whenever people say I'm going to kick your ass, I'd say more than likely, but you're going to remember who the hell I am. You're going to remember who the F I am, right? Like, I might lose. I'm fine with losing. Are you fine with knowing that something, you're not going to be the same? That was always my mindset. And I saw that yesterday out of the Edmonton Oilers. And it made me so happy watching that out of the Edmonton Oilers yesterday. Despite the fact I think Florida is the better team. I want to see the storyline of the Edmonton Oilers kind of doing what the San Antonio Spurs did a couple of years ago, right? You lose to a buzzsaw in Miami. Funny how both these teams are in Miami. Yes, I know Sunrise isn't Miami. It's basically South Florida, guys. Come on. The Miami Heat beat the San Antonio Spurs in 6 games. The Ray Allen shot, we all remember that stuff. Then the Spurs come back, and in the NBA Finals, they match up again in 2014. I'm watching this NBA Finals in Alaska by myself. And as I'm watching this NBA Finals in Alaska, you're watching the San Antonio Spurs put on an ass whooping that hadn't been seen in an NBA Finals before. Absolutely dominating the Miami Heat 4-1. That's what I thought Edmonton would come in here and do. I thought the one game for Florida was going to be game 2 in double overtime, which was a ton of fun to watch. Brad Marchand getting the breakaway. looking like Draisaitl's going to poke the puck away from him, and it sneaks in right under Strider's leg or Skinner's legs. That's where I thought Florida was going to get their one. And now this series is turned upside down for me because Edmonton showed they have a chink in their armor, and it's that Florida can get under their skin. 85 penalty minutes. It's a 60-minute game. You had 85 penalty minutes. Bistro saying the Oilers played really bad hockey last night. Too many bad penalties and just looked lost out there in times. Florida just took it to them. And that's exactly what the Panthers do. If you've been watching any hockey, you know that's what the Panthers do. But the Edmonton Oilers, Strilla, they got to be better than that. This is the NHL Stanley Cup Final. This is your chance to create history. A team from Canada hasn't won the Stanley Cup since 1992. Might even be longer than that. I want to say it's 32 years, so maybe it's 1993. It's been 1993 since a team from Canada has won the Stanley Cup Final. You have a ton of pressure on you to make yourself immortal and have your name on that trophy for the remainder of time. And you're out here doing dumbass penalties like that. I get it. The third period, you're already down 5-1. You're more than likely not going to come back. The last 8 minutes of that game was nothing but a penalty fest. But you have arguably the best player in hockey in Connor McDavid on the ice. You got Leon Draisaitl, who's actually really effing good too, on the ice. And you guys can't do anything with them? Bobrovsky's standing on his head. I felt so bad for Skinner because they should have taken him out earlier. Should have pulled the goalie, switched the goalie earlier. And instead they just it was an unrelenting attack from the Florida Panthers. That was just, it was beautiful hockey to watch on their end, and it had to have been a nightmare to watch for Edmonton Oilers fans. I remember at the end of the broadcast, they're showing these two Edmonton Oilers fans out in the stands, just hanging out, doing their thing, just looking dejected as all hell, because that is the longest trip you can make in sports right now. The longest distance between two championship cities, going from Miami, Sunrise, Florida, all the way up to Edmonton, Florida, or Edmonton, Canada. Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Is it? Yeah, it's in Alberta, isn't it? I had to think about that. I've driven through there. That's my one claim to Edmonton. I've driven through Edmonton. On my way up to Alaska, I drove through Edmonton. And my way back from Alaska, I drove through Edmonton. So I've been there twice. That's my claim to fame with Edmonton. I've been there twice. Drove through there twice. One time it was really, really ugly and snowy. The next time it was just Edmonton. And I blinked and didn't realize it was that small of a city. There's nothing else to do in Edmonton but to go to Edmonton Oilers games. I don't know that for a fact. Like I said, I just drove through there. Stopped in Calgary, though. Calgary, great city. The Oilers, and I get it, it's one game, but you have to be. And TNT did a great job of, one, blurring out the bad words, beeping out the bad words. Whoever was on the 7-second delay, that person deserves a raise. But you could see Connor McDavid in the locker room, in the dressing room, with the rest of the Edmonton Oilers, and he is just F-bombing the hell out of them. What the F was this? We got to F and be better than this. I'm looking forward to Game 4, which I believe is going to be on Thursday. They have this weird, 2 days in between games now is what we're doing. We'll have the NBA final on Wednesday. So nothing really to talk about today, unless we're going to be talking about baseball. Pittsburgh, they get a 10-3 win over Miami. That's going to be something that keeps everyone interested. Let's go Pittsburgh. United States taking on Switzerland. The United States taking on Switzerland later on today. I'm going to be live at Buffalo Wild Wings, hanging out with my friends, having all-you-can-eat wings at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive. We're going to put them out of business, y'all. That's the goal. That's what we're doing. We're putting Buffalo Wild Wings out of business. And all you can do now if you're the Edmonton Oilers is just sit there in this 6-1 loss. It was 2-1 at one point. You had it somewhere close, and then the wheels just fell off the whole damn thing. The wheels just fell off the whole damn thing. I love seeing, though, at the end of the game, the Rats. Oh, yeah. Ekblad was playing out of his mind yesterday, man. It was a great game to watch. If I were a casual fan, if I were someone who didn't really watch hockey all that much, this series right here would be the series that I would want to watch, right? It's the same thing with the NBA. I love this matchup from a basketball standpoint. I think it's going to be, and it has proven to be, really beautiful basketball. And even though the last game was a 16-point blowout, because you saw Indiana come back from 15 down in the fourth quarter, you know this is a team that you can't count out. So you have to give them their respect and knowing that they can come back against any team. They've done it 5 times this postseason. This Stanley Cup final and this NBA final is what I would use as an introductory for the casual fan out there, for someone who wants to start getting into hockey, because you're watching the best. You can see Connor McDavid, how much faster he is, how much better than everyone else he is, how he's got himself a squad. You have the best player in the league taking on the best team in the league. And in the NBA final, you have 2 of the best teams in the league taking on one another. They're basically the Spider-Man meme. I know I say it all the time. They're pointing at each other. They're the Spider-Man meme. It just so happens that Oklahoma City, a smidge or 2 better than Indiana. But like Indiana might have already gotten their one, right? That game 1, that might have been their one. But they're going to be fighting. That's all you can expect from this team, is that they would be fighting. And that's what you're going to get out of it. It's going to be the same thing with Edmonton. Edmonton's not going to lose this series 4-1. Last year, they were down 3-0 against the same team. Yes, Florida added Brad Marchand, but they were down. Edmonton was down to the Florida Panthers 3-0. Came all the way back and forced a Game 7. And in that third period of that Game 7, McDavid and Draisaitl had been playing basically the whole game. They were exhausted. Go back and forth. Edmonton more than likely going to come out and win Game 4 because they have to. They can ill afford to go down 3-1 because you don't want a repeat of what happened last year. You cannot capture that lightning in a bottle. I'm looking for Edmonton to come out in Game 4 and establish themselves, especially Connor McDavid, knowing that he's the best player in hockey. When your nickname is McJesus, you better come out with some sort of miracle on ice. See what I did there? That was cheesy. I'm better than that. You better come out with some sort of miracle and make sure this team wins. You can ill afford to go down 3-1 in the Stanley Cup final to the Florida Panthers yet again. I get it. Last year, it was 3-0. This year, 3-1 if you lose in Game 4. So you have to come back in Game 4. Man, I'm excited about it. I really am. I love whenever I get an opportunity to talk about hockey. We were talking about hockey on Fire and Ice for the first time on Saturday. Brandon the Iceman Cohn and I get to talk about hockey this past Saturday while we were live at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive. each and every Saturday for Fire and Ice. This Saturday, we're going to be live at 1 o'clock. We're going to have Austin High School head football coach Eric Pichardo joining us on the show. And I believe we're also going to have former ABC7 reporter Darren Hunt joining us. But I got to get that all straightened out with Brandon the Iceman Cone. Tune in nonetheless. Tune in to Fire and Ice every Saturday right here on the Tipton Sports Broadcasting Network. Once again, shout out to everyone that has tuned in this early on the show. I know it's a little earlier, an hour and 15 minutes earlier than when I normally do the show. But that's because I got a high school graduation I need to go to. My biological niece graduating high school. Once again, I said it once before. I'll say it again on this show until I drill it into everybody's head. My family is more important than you. And I hope you don't take that and put that against me. Look at this man caring about his family. Shout out to my girl Mireya Reyes, who is tuned in over on Facebook. I see you over there tuning in. Calling me a closeted Green Bay Packers fan yesterday. As I end the show, she's like, you sound like a Green Bay Packers fan, because we were going over the Green Bay Packers schedule. Not going to do that right now. We'll go over that whenever we talk about the NFC North. I know it's a little early, but I can't think of a way to stall for another 8 minutes, so I have to just do it right now so I can get into my next subject. I don't think that's ever the way that I wanted to transition to it, but it's the only way I can transition to it. So you take it whenever you can get it, and it's just a tip.
I just want to put the tip in.
It's time for
Just a Tip.
That would make me uncomfortable.
Promise that it ain't too much, but just enough. Just a tip. Just a tip.
Just the tip? Just the tip.
It's time for Just the Tip.
Just the Tip is brought to you by our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com. I put out the video yesterday on my social media. I'll be sharing it again, or making another video rather, later on this week to share on the show for the www.myhappynuts full body deodorant, the whole body deodorant. Guys, trust me when I say this, it smells great. I put it on yesterday and I had long lasting protection from your tip to your pits. You can be protected with My Happy Nuts, www.myhappynuts.com. I tried to get through that without laughing, so let me try it one more time. We're gonna be serious here. We're workshopping the new slogan. Okay? Just the Tip is brought to you by our friends over at www.myhappynuts.com. I put out the video yesterday on my social media. You saw me using the new whole body deodorant. Guys, it takes care of you from your tip to your pits. You put it on anywhere that creates smell that you might not feel comfortable with, and boom, just like that, the whole body deodorant has gotten you taken care of. You're smelling good. Add it with the comfort cream, add it with the anti-chafe stick, use it with the bulber, and you are going to be thanking yourself for it. www.myhappynuts.com. Use promo code Mike Tipton at checkout and save on all of your male grooming needs. That's a home run right there. Just knock that one smooth out of the park. From your tips to your pit, or from your tip to your pits. If you have two tips, then congratulations, I guess, goes out to you. I had mentioned it yesterday. We're going to start doing this every Tuesday as we lead in, or until we get rid of all of the divisions. We're going to be breaking down the divisions now in the NFL. Last week, we broke down the AFC East. Who is the cream of the crop of the AFC East? Where is everybody going to finish their season in the AFC East? And we came to a consensus on this show, or I did, because I'm the only voice that matters. Not that much of an asshole. But we came down with Buffalo's going to win the division. Obviously, Buffalo's the cream of the crop. I have New England finishing second, ahead of Miami and ahead of the lowly New York Jets. And I believe that that's all based off of transactions that have happened from free agency through the NFL draft. I like what Buffalo did during free agency. I like what the Patriots did during free agency, spending almost $300 million. Got to do the Dr. Evil, $300 million. And then, of course, the draft that the Patriots had, I think, just set them apart from everyone else. So we're breaking the teams down like that. It's just not going off of, oh, okay, they look like this. No. I will look at, and we'll go over the schedule a little bit later, but I will look at the Baltimore Ravens right now and the NFC North. How's it going to look in the NFC North? Okay. With Baltimore, these are the players that they lost. They lose an offensive lineman in Pete McCary. He goes over to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They lose Brandon Stevens. He goes over to the New York Jets. Malik Harrison, he goes over to Pittsburgh, their rival. Then they lose a tackle in Josh Jones. This is a backup guy now. We're starting to go into the backups. Josh Jones going over to the Seahawks. Tre'Davious White going over to the Buffalo Bills. Chris Board going over to the New York Giants. Josh Johnson, the quarterback, wow, still in the league somehow, going over to the Washington Commanders. Christian Welsh, an inside linebacker, going over to the Green Bay Packers. Deontay Johnson, the wide receiver, somehow, some way, still finding himself teams here, is Deontay Johnson going over to the Cleveland Browns, and the Steve Sims Jr., the wide receiver, going over to the Seattle Seahawks. Free agents that the Baltimore Ravens added to their team. They go on, they get a free agent quarterback in Cooper Rush. If you're a Dallas Cowboys fan, you know all about Cooper Rush. If you're a Dallas Cowboys hater, you know all about Cooper Rush. Really held down the fort over the last couple of years whenever Dak Prescott was hurt. They've got themselves, in my opinion, the best backup quarterback in the NFL, just in case their MVP caliber quarterback goes down at one point in time. Great job. Great job for them. They get to steady the ship. Keep it going. They go out and they get wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins, a little past his prime, but still going to get you targets, still a guy that can catch the ball. And for their wide receiving room, that's kind of what they need. They need a guy that can go over the middle. He's not going to break the top off the defense anymore, but he's a possession receiving kind of guy. I like the pickup of DeAndre Hopkins. They re-signed Patrick Ricard, their fullback, Taylor Wallace, their wide receiver, and, of course, Ben Cleveland, one of their offensive linemen that helps out with depth on the offensive line. They bring in Joseph Noteboom, the offensive tackle from the LA Rams. Noteboom, good for depth. Once again, that's all they're trying to do. Get depth along that offensive line. Depth. They re-sign one of my favorite players, former Dallas Cowboy, or they don't re-sign him, but they get him from the Tennessee Titans, Chidobe Awuzie. They bring him in from the Tennessee Titans. That's a great cornerback. Once again, adding depth. They need depth along their defense. We're talking about a team here that a lot of people would have said is a championship contending team in the Baltimore Ravens. And then they bring in John Jenkins, a defensive tackle from the Las Vegas Raiders. Free agent-wise, they did what they needed to do. And I think they kind of went above and beyond, right? Like, I like the DeAndre Hopkins signing. I really like the Cooper Rush signing. I think that's going to be underrated. If something were to happen to Lamar Jackson, they have themselves a quarterback who has been in the NFL long enough that will be able to steady the ship. Bistro is saying Baltimore is top three in complete teams in the NFL. I wouldn't even say top three. I'd say they're the complete team in the NFL. They have a great defense. They have an MVP caliber running back and quarterback. Let's not forget that they have Derrick effing Henry. Of all the players that they could have gotten, they got Derrick effing Henry to be on their team. I'm trying to find my correct draft page. There it is. So that way we can make sure we get all of the draft picks from the Baltimore Ravens. And they had a lot of late round draft picks, did Baltimore. That's one of the things that they did. They went out, they stockpiled late round draft picks. And again, you're doing that to add depth to your squad. Depth to your squad. I think with Kansas City going to take a little bit of a step back, I genuinely feel Kansas City is going to take a step back. I feel like this is the year for Baltimore and Buffalo to make a deep playoff run and maybe make it to the Super Bowl. This is the year for them to do it. It hasn't been set up better for them than this. In the first round, they get Malachi Starks out of Georgia, a safety, helping out that defense. So the issue that they had last year, especially early on, was their defense. It got a little bit better towards the end of the season, but they knew that defense needed to be helped out, and that's what they went and they did. They addressed the defensive side. All about it. All good with it. Love it. Then they go out in the second round. They get an outside linebacker and Mike Green out of Marshall, helping out the defense. Third round, an offensive tackle, Emory Jones Jr. out of LSU. That offensive line. Look at what they're doing. We had an issue on defense. We're fixing our defense. Our offensive line is good. Let's make them better and deeper. That's what they're doing. That was the only knock that they had. Maybe the wide receiver core. I would have liked to see them add some more maybe rookie talent in wide receiver in those early rounds, but they went out, they got DeAndre Hopkins. They have themselves a great, solid team. The fourth round, they go out and they get linebacker Teddy Buchanan out of Cal. The fifth round, an offensive tackle. Listen to what this is. Defense, offensive lineman, defense, offensive lineman. Sixth round, they get cornerback Balil Cohn out of Western Michigan, defense. They go out and they get themselves a kicker, Tyler Loop out of Arizona, to replace Justin Tucker, who's no longer going to be on the team because of whatever the outside issues may have been and because he just wasn't good enough last season. Maybe if he was the kicker to the Justin Tucker of old, they would have held on to him and dealt with the headache, but he wasn't that guy. So they move on from him. If you don't know what it is, there's some Deshaun Watson-like massage parlor issues that are surrounding Justin Tucker right now. That is 2 so far of their 6th-round draft picks. Number 6, they get LaJohntay Wester out of Colorado in the 6th round. They get defensive lineman Aeneas Peebles out of Virginia Tech in the 6th round, their 5th 6th-round pick. They get cornerback Robert Longbeam out of Rutgers. And then in the 7th round, they go on, they get offensive lineman Garrett Dellinger out of LSU. They went defense and offensive lineman. Throw in a kicker there, throw in a random wide receiver in the 6th round. Why the hell not? That's what the Baltimore Ravens did. I love that draft class from the Baltimore Ravens. Now we look at their schedule. Got the Dallas Cowboys and Washington Commanders in the preseason. Ooh, those big preseason games. They kick off the season in Buffalo against the Buffalo Bills. What could be an AFC Championship game preview is what we're getting in week 1 of this season against the Buffalo Bills. I absolutely love this. It's going to be fun. It's again going back to like the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Obviously, I don't think there's Super Bowl implications in that game, but in this game right here, Buffalo versus Baltimore, I can see these teams matching up in the AFC playoffs, and I'd love to see them match up in the AFC Championship game. We're getting this week 1. That's in Buffalo. I'm calling that a win for the Buffalo Bills. 0-1 so far for the Baltimore Ravens. The Cleveland Browns, the second game of the season, we're calling that a win. They go into they welcome in the Detroit Lions. You talk about a tough start to your schedule. Baltimore's going through a tough start to their schedule. Buffalo, you get the basic bye week of the Cleveland Browns. And then week 3, you bring in the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions taking on the Baltimore Ravens on the road. I'm going with Baltimore here to win that game. Baltimore 2-1 on the season. Sorry, Strilla. Week 4, the Kansas City Chiefs, that game at Arrowhead Stadium. So hard for me to pick against the defending AFC champions, a 4-time or a 3-time Super Bowl champion. So hard for me to pick against them at home. I'm going with the Kansas City Chiefs. Baltimore 2-2 on the season. They go back home. They welcome in the Houston Texans. I think Houston, despite signing Nick Chubb, I think that's going to be an underrated pick for the Houston Texans, was picking up Nick Chubb. I genuinely believe that that's going to be an underrated pick, the Texans picking up Nick Chubb. But I still don't think it's enough to beat Baltimore in Baltimore. We're going with Baltimore there, 3-2 on the season. They welcome in the Los Angeles Rams. Not a big fan of everything the Rams have done. I still think they're a great team, or a good team. I just don't see them as a great team. And in that division that the Rams are in, they don't have to be great. I'm going to call that a loss for the Rams. So we're 3-3 on the season so far. 4-2 best case scenario. 3-3 on the season as we get into the bye week, which is week 7. We'll give them 4-2. We'll say Baltimore's going to go 4-2. Then they welcome in the Chicago Bears into Baltimore. That'll be a win for the Baltimore Ravens. Go down to Miami. Take on the Miami Dolphins. That'll be a win. So now we're looking at them at 6-2. Go up to Minnesota, take on the Vikings. I don't know what to do with this Vikings team. I am all over the place with this Vikings team. I love the talent they have. Is Sam Darnold really going to be the guy that makes the big difference on whether or not this team is going to be a great team or not this season? Is it really going to – can J.J. McCarthy step in and lead this team? They got enough offensive weapons. They have enough talent on that team. I just don't know what to expect from them. That's at home. Sunday, an early game. That's at home for Minnesota. We'll call that a win for the Baltimore Ravens. So far we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They're 7-2 on the season for Baltimore. Go into Cleveland, call that a win. 8-2. Go against the Jets, call that a win. 9-2. Cincinnati comes into Baltimore. I like Cincinnati. I think they're going to split. I think they're going to split the season series. The Bengals lose this one, 10-2 on the season for the Baltimore Ravens. Welcome in the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to beat Pittsburgh, 11-2 on the season. Go to Baltimore, or go to Cincinnati rather. That's where we're going to see a loss there. You're 11-3 on the season. The New England Patriots, who I think are going to be a better team here, they'll put up a fight, but I don't think that they're going to be able to beat the Baltimore Ravens. Man, I really have this team going far. Now that I'm thinking about it. They beat the Patriots. They beat the Packers. They beat the Steelers. So we're going to call that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 wins. I have Baltimore. Jesus. I have Baltimore going 14-3 on the season. And the thing is I'd love for there to be some sort of pushback. Worst case scenario, you can say maybe 13-4. Maybe they lose to Detroit. Maybe they lose to Kansas City. Maybe, right? Maybe they don't lose to Cincinnati. Maybe they don't lose to Buffalo. Man, there's a real possibility here that the Ravens can go 14-3. I didn't even think about that being the Ravens' schedule, going 14-3. Obviously, they're going to be the best team in that division, like hands down. they'll be the best team in that division. We're going to be checking out now the other teams in the AFC North. Here we go. There it is. Baltimore right now, I have them at 14-3. Jesus Christ, that's that's wild. I can't even believe I just predicted a team to go 14-3. That's crazy to me. I don't think I've ever done that before in my past, as saying a team can go 14-3. That is insane to me. Anytime I get up in the double-digit wins, you can start hearing me be like, I don't know about all this. I don't know about this, Jim. Going over to the Cincinnati Bengals, another team in the AFC North. Players that they lost guard Alex Kappa going over to the Baltimore Ravens. Defensive tackle Sheldon Rankins going over to the Houston Texans. Akeem Davis-Gaither, linebacker, going over to the Arizona Cardinals. Right tackle Trenton Brown going over to the Houston Texans. Khalil Herbert, the running back, going over to the Indianapolis Colts. Trayvon Williams, running back, going over to the New England Patriots. Joe Baishi, a linebacker, going over to the Indianapolis Colts, and then Jay Tufele going over to the New York Jets. Players they re-signed: Joseph Asai, a defensive end. They re-signed him. Marco Wilson, a cornerback. Cameron Sample, a defensive end. So they kind of re-signed some of their defensive guys. And what do? They go out and get Tardell Slayton from Green Bay, giving him a $14 million deal, helping out that defensive line. That's what they need to do. You're going to look at the Baltimore or at the Cincinnati Bengals, and you're going to sit back and say they didn't spend a lot of money in free agency. Well, they couldn't. They just couldn't. They went out there, they restructured deals for guys, made sure that T. Higgins was signed to a long-term deal, made sure Jamar Chase was signed to a long-term deal. TJ Hawkinson doesn't get his long-term deal. What are they going to do with him? They go out and they get Oren Burks from the Philadelphia Eagles, giving him a $5 million deal. Do the Cincinnati Bengals. They bring in Samaje Perine to help out some of the running back depth that they lost. They bring in Lucas Patrick to help out the offensive line. And then Joe Gillis-Harris, an inside linebacker, to kind of help them out a little bit. Not a lot that they did in terms of what they did for what their needs were, right? Like their issue last year was defense. Their issue last year was we had a number one style offense, and we couldn't get that offense to win 8 games, 9 games to get us into the playoffs. The defense was so bad. Sure, there were a couple of weird coaching decisions that they could have tried to have overcome, but it was mainly that defense. TJ Hawkinson, what are we going to do? Or Hendrickson, what are we going to do with him? How are we going to make sure he's happy? So what do? They go out and they draft edge linebacker Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Great pickup, but he's holding out because he doesn't like the contract that's been offered to him so far. They go out and they help out the defense once again. They get linebacker Demetrius Knight out of South Carolina. They help out that offensive line that did lose some pieces by getting a third-round pick and Dylan Fairchild out of Georgia. Anytime you get a guy out of Georgia, you basically got yourself an NFL caliber guy. Helping out the defense again in round 4, getting Barrett Carter out of Clemson. Helping out the offensive line once again, getting Jalen Rivers out of Miami. Getting themselves some running back depth with a running back that I think is going to be really good for them in Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. We're talking about a guy that you can use any down. I don't think as a rookie you're going to use him any down, but eventually you're going to be able to use this kid any down. And getting him as a 6th-round pick is going to be huge for the Cincinnati Bengals. Our guy Gary Bryant saying, good morning, Tip. Good morning, chat. Good morning to you, Gary. Hope that you are having yourself a fantastic day here on this Tuesday, the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. We are coming at you live, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. In a couple of minutes, we'll be live on National Streaming Sports on the Roku channel. Check out everything that National Streaming Sports has going on. our guy Keith Engel live right now on National Streaming Sports. You might be asking yourself, Tip, why are you doing the show so early? It's not 8 o'clock Mountain Time. It's not 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Well, I have a family graduation that I need to go to. My niece is graduating high school. And once again, my family, more important than you guys to me. I love you all to death. As you know, I wouldn't be doing a show at 6:45 in the morning if I didn't love doing a show, doing all this stuff for you guys. I just love my family a little more. I apologize. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. And if it does, get the fuck over yourself. Hope you're having yourself a great day. Gary got my coffee working with me right here as well. My Folgers French vanilla blend is what I'm working with right here. With the Dunkin' creamer. Yes, I take creamer in my coffee because I'm a man, damn it. I've been seeing these trends online where they have guys going in to order coffee at whatever place it is they order coffee, and they'll have like a piece of paper and they'll sneak it over to the barista and they'll be like, I would like 1 large black coffee, please. And then it comes out like, a frozen coffee with creamer and all kinds of stuff on it. I order that anyway. Whenever I go to Dunkin' Donuts, I don't care. I don't care the look you give me. Give me a large frozen French vanilla with whipped cream and raspberry flavor, and I'm a happy guy. Sometimes maybe even a little bit of caramel on there or whatever it is that it goes. I don't have to worry about my coffee order. It doesn't always have to be black, like my soul. I liked what the Cincinnati Bengals did in their draft. Not so much what they did in free agency, but again, their hands were tied. You re-signed Jamar Chase, you re-signed T. Higgins. Those were the big fish that you got. Those are basically your huge free agent signings over the next couple of years while you try to navigate the salary cap. So let's look at the schedule for the Cincinnati Bengals. Week 1 versus the Cleveland Browns, win. Week 2 versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, win. Week 3, they go into Minnesota, don't you know? We're going to call that a win for Minnesota. So right now, Baltimore 2-1 on the season. They take on the Denver Broncos in Denver. Four games in, 2-2. They take on the Detroit Lions in Cincinnati. I'm going to go with Detroit getting this win here. So now we are 2-3 on the season for the Cincinnati Bengals. They take on the Green Bay Packers. That in Lambeau Field, we'll call that a win for the Green Bay Packers. 2-4 on the season. Mireya Reyes is going to be happy about that one. They take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a win. They take on the New York Jets. That's a win. Through week 8, you are now 4-4 on the season. Taking on the Chicago Bears, that game in Cincinnati, we'll call that a win. 5-4 on the season. Taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers again, win. I don't care where it's at, win. Pittsburgh's not going to be good this year. Aaron Rodgers, garbage sauce. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit anyway. Taking on the New England Patriots. So now you are 6-4 on the season. Taking on the New England Patriots, that game in Cincinnati, we'll call that a win for the Bengals. 7-4 on the season. Taking on Baltimore, loss. Sorry, loss. 7-5 on the season. Taking on Buffalo, loss. 7-6 on the season. Taking on Baltimore this time in Cincinnati, we'll call that a win. I have them splitting. 8-6 on the season. Taking on Miami, we'll call that a win. Not impressed with what Miami's doing, so we'll call that a win. The Arizona Cardinals will call that a win, and then ending the season with the Cleveland Browns, we'll call that a win. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I could see this team being 12-5, 11-6 on the season. I can genuinely see that. Again, good enough for second place in the AFC North. Good enough for second place in the AFC North. Is that really where they want to be? It's better than where they were last season. Like it really is. It's better than where they have been in the past. It really is. We're doing some research here. We're bringing up the Pittsburgh Steelers right now to see what their schedule, what they've done over the offseason, how all that's going to look for them. So far we've done Baltimore. Baltimore, I have them as a 14-win team, 14-3. We have the Cincinnati Bengals being anywhere from 12 to 11 win team. $10 Trump egg saying the Oilers are a dirty team. Man, that's a tough one for me. I don't know how you can say the Oilers are a dirty team. Maybe you see all the penalties and you think about that, but I think that's all hindsight. I think it's just we were getting our ass kicked and we want to put up some sort of fight, even if it has to be a physical fight because the fight we were putting up on the ice in Game 3 wasn't enough. Maybe that's the reason why you say it, but it's so hard for me to say that they're a dirty team. Man, the Pittsburgh Steelers had themselves a busy offseason. Players that they lost: tackle Dan Moore, quarterback Justin Fields, quarterback Russell Wilson, James Daniel along the offensive line, Larry Ojungbe along the defensive line, Deontay Jackson, cornerback, Najee Harris, running back, Eldon Roberts, an outside linebacker, Mike Williams, a wide receiver, Van Jefferson, a wide receiver, DeMonte Kazi, a safety, Nate Hedberg, offensive lineman, Kyle Allen, a quarterback. They lost 3 quarterbacks. I didn't realize they lost 3 quarterbacks this offseason. And then look at what they gained. I think they gained a decent amount. Malik Harrison, linebacker out of Baltimore. Bring in Darius Slay, cornerback out of Philadelphia, just won himself a Super Bowl. Brandon Eccles, they bring in a cornerback from the New York Jets. Juan Thorhill, they bring him in. Robert Woods, Bobby Trees, your number 2 wide receiver now. Kenneth Gainwell out of Philadelphia, they bring him back. Trey Sermon, another running back, bringing in running back depth. That's what they do. Players that they re-signed the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Skowronek, the wide receiver. Calvin Anderson along the offensive line. Isaiah Loudermilk along the defensive line. Scotty Miller, bringing back Scotty Miller on a 1-year, $1.3 million deal, the wide receiver. Max Sharpling, and then James Pierre. And then, of course, the big signing here. $10 Trump egg says unsubscribed. Bye-bye. Doesn't hurt me one bit, my guy. Hope you have yourself a great, fantastic time. And then, of course, bringing in Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers. We already know how I feel about that. We're not going to get too deep into everything. Trying to find out here all of the draft picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of people thought with the number 1 pick in their draft that the Pittsburgh Steelers would lose or would go after Shedeur Sanders. I had them going after Shedeur Sanders myself. Wasn't a big fan of watching the way he dropped. I thought that he was going to be a late first-round pick, early second-round pick, which I am perfectly fine with. But the Steelers, who I thought, and I think a lot of people thought would be the team, if it wasn't the Giants, the Steelers would go out and get him. They don't go out and get him. What do? They go out and they get a defensive tackle, Derek Harmon, out of Oregon. Great pickup for them. They didn't have a second-round pick. They get Caleb Johnson, running back out of Iowa. Once again, they lost Najee Harris, so they need a little bit of help along the defensive line or along the running back room. They bring in Jack Sawyer, an edge rusher. Once again, you got TJ Watt there. Why not? Why not? Helping out the defense. Yaha Black, helping out the defense. Will Howard, the quarterback out of the 6th round, now going to be your 3rd-string quarterback behind Mason Rudolph, behind Aaron Rodgers. That's where he needs to be. He shouldn't have ever been considered in a quarterback battle before Aaron Rodgers signed at the end of last week. In the 7th round, bringing in Carson Bruner out of Washington, and then Deontay Kent out of Central Michigan. All that's fine and dandy. Let's look at the schedule for the Pittsburgh Steelers. First game of the season, the revenge game for Aaron Rodgers, taking on his former team, the New York Jets. We'll call that a win for Pittsburgh. Home against Seattle, we'll call that a win for Pittsburgh. 2-0 on the season. Still not a huge fan of what Seattle did. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Then we got the New England Patriots. We're going to call that a loss, 2-1. The Minnesota Vikings going to call that a loss, 2-2. The Cleveland Browns, you beat Cleveland, so you're 3-2. The Cincinnati Bengals, you lose to Cincinnati, you're 3-3. The Green Bay Packers, you lose to Green Bay, you're 3-4. The Indianapolis Colts, will say you beat the Colts at home. That's going to be a 4-4 season. The Chargers, I think the Chargers are much better place rather than the Pittsburgh Steelers are. Would say this: Steelers lose the Chargers, you're 4-5 on the season. Welcome in Cincinnati, 4-6 on the season. Chicago, I like Chicago. This is going to be at Soldier Field. You're 4-7 on the season. Buffalo, man, you are now 4-9 on the season. Baltimore, 4-10 on the season. Miami, you'll beat Miami. You are 5-10 on the season. Detroit, you lose to Detroit. 5-11 on the season. Cleveland, you beat Cleveland. 6-11. Or 6-10 rather. And then Baltimore, you lose to Baltimore. 6-11. Maybe I can see a couple of wins here. I didn't think that Pittsburgh's schedule was this hard. That's a harder schedule than I initially thought they had. Maybe they can beat the Chargers. Maybe they split with Cincinnati. Maybe they split with Baltimore. Maybe they beat Chicago. I can see them being anywhere from an 8-win team to a 6-win team. That's bad. Having Aaron Rodgers didn't really make much of a difference for this team. So there you have it. Baltimore, the cream of the crop. Cincinnati, the number 2 team here. Baltimore going to be, in my opinion, 14-3. We'll see if I actually own up to that. Cincinnati, anywhere between 12-5, 11-6. I can see that for them. And Pittsburgh right now at 7-9. Best case scenario, 7-9. Man, 7-10 actually would be the best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then, of course, you have the bottom of the barrel, which is going to be the Cleveland Browns. Maybe they win 2, 3, 4 games this season. They're not going to be a good team. Don't have your hopes up for the Cleveland Browns. A lot of issues that team is going to have. All right, everyone, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to today's show. It was a fun time. Even though it was a little earlier than normal, it was a fun time. I hope everyone had themselves a good time. Even if you unsubscribed, I'm sorry. I do not care. Thank you so much for unsubscribing to the team, for unsubscribing to the show. I hope that you all have a great day. Remember, tonight we're going to be over at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive, for all-you-can-eat wings, and we will see you all tomorrow. This is Mike Tipton from Tipton Sports Broadcasting, inviting you to join us on Tuesday, June 10th at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park Drive on the west side of El Paso for all-you-can-eat wings. As a big fat guy, you know I'm going to be stuffing my face, so why not join me and Brandon the Iceman Cone for all-you-can-eat wings? Be sure to tune in to Fire and Ice every Saturday as we talk sports or anything else that might come to mind. At B-Dubs, enjoy the $4 house beer Wild Herd, $5 Bud Lights, and $6 Voodoo Rangers. And take advantage of their $4 Fireball shots.
Fireball.
Happy hour is Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Be sure to try the delicious new sandwiches like the beer cheese cheesesteak and chicken parm melt. Plus, all-you-can-eat wings Monday through Thursday until June 26th. $24.99 for bone-in wings, $19.99 for boneless wings, and the fries are included. All-you-can-eat bone-in and boneless wings Monday through Thursday, and Fire and Ice every Saturday at Buffalo Wild Wings, 655 Sunland Park.